Chapter 1. The Ark. In silence, the Resolute drifted like a wounded predator, its hull scarred by railgun impacts and plasma burns. Emergency lights pulsed across the fractured bridge, casting Captain Vera's face in alternating shadows of red and amber. Her voice carried the weight of command, clipped and precise as she directed repair crews through the chaos. Stabilize the reactor bleed. Seal compartments 9 through 12. No excuses. Kale, his uniform torn and bloodied, leaned against a console that flickered with static. We've bought the convoy time, Captain, but Dominion scouts will be back. Gamma won't lick its wounds for long. Vera's gaze hardened. Then we make them bleed again. Humans don't retreat into silence. The words hung heavy, a vow against the void, yet silence pressed in from beyond the shattered viewport. The stars themselves seemed muted, as if the cosmos had drawn breath and held it. Lieutenant Aras broke the stillness. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up something. Not Dominion, not human. It's massive, drifting, coordinates locked. The crew turned as the tactical display resolved into shape. A colossal arc, alien in design, its contours jagged and unnatural, as though grown rather than built. The vessel dwarfed even Dominion Titans, its hull fractured yet intact, a tomb adrift in the abyss. Kale's voice dropped to a whisper. That's no Dominion craft, it's older, much older. Vera studied the arc, her instincts sharpening. Plot intercept. If it's a derelict, it may hold resources we need. If it's a trap, we'll know soon enough. The Resolute's battered thrusters groaned as they adjusted course. Every movement strained the ship's wounded frame, but necessity outweighed caution. The crew's eyes fixed on the arc as it grew larger, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to shift under observation, patterns that resisted comprehension. Aras frowned. Captain, those markings, they're not static. They're moving, artifacts of a dying system, Vera replied, though her tone betrayed unease. Prepare boarding teams, we'll secure whatever we can. Kale straightened, his calm unnerving in the tension. If this ark belonged to one of the old empires, we're walking into history or a graveyard. The docking maneuver was brutal. Magnetic clamps screeched against alien alloy, sparks scattering into the void. The boarding hatch cycled open, revealing a corridor that swallowed light. Team 1, advance, Vera ordered. Her voice carried through comms, steady as steel. The Marines moved in formation, rifles raised, beams cutting through the oppressive dark. The corridor walls pulsed faintly, as if alive, veins of luminescence tracing patterns that dissolved when stared at directly. Sergeant Dalen muttered, feels like the ship's watching us. Keep chatter minimal, Vera snapped. Focus. They pressed deeper. The silence was absolute, broken only by the hum of equipment and the faint rasp of breath. Then a sound low, resonant, like a whisper carried through stone. Aras froze. Did anyone else hear that? Kale's reply was calm, deliberate. Yes. And it wasn't mechanical. The whisper grew, layered, as though countless voices spoke at once but never in unison. Words formed and dissolved, alien syllables that clawed at comprehension. The Marines tightened their grips on rifles, discipline holding against primal fear. Vera's command cut through the tension. Record everything, no assumptions, move forward. The corridor opened into a vast chamber. Structures rose like petrified trees, twisted and fused, their surfaces etched with the same shifting symbols. At the center lay a throne-like construct, empty yet radiating presence. Kale approached, his steps measured. This ark wasn't abandoned, it was entombed. The whisper surged, filling the chamber, pressing against skulls and nerves. Dalen staggered, clutching his helmet. Captain, it's inside my head. Vera's jaw tightened. Hold formation. No retreat. Aras scanned the throne, energy readings spiking, something waking up. The chamber trembled, dust cascading from the alien structures. The symbols flared, burning with impossible light. The whisper became a roar not of sound but of thought, invasive and relentless. Kale's voice remained steady, though his eyes betrayed strain. Captain, this isn't technology, it's consciousness. The ark itself is alive. Vera raised her rifle, though the gesture felt futile. Then we face it as soldiers. Whatever this void whispers, humanity answers with defiance. The throne pulsed, and the chamber plunged into silence once more. The crew stood rigid, weapons ready, as the ark's presence pressed against them, vast and incomprehensible. In that silence, the war with the Dominion seemed suddenly small. The true enemy had stirred, and it was older than empires, older than stars. Vera spoke, her voice ablaze against the dark. We hold the line. No matter what wakes here, humanity will not break. The ark whispered back, and the void listened. Chapter 2. The ark breathes, war the silence fractured. A low vibration rippled through the chamber, resonating in bone and steel alike. The ark's walls flexed as if inhaling, the symbols shifting into new geometries that no human eye could fully track. Status, Captain Vera snapped, her tone clipped precise. Kale's visor flickered with cascading data. Energy surge stabilizing. It's not random, it's aligning like battle formations. Dalen's breathing was ragged, his voice strained. It's mapping us, every move, every heartbeat it knows. Aras adjusted his scanner, jaw tight. Captain, this isn't just awareness, it's tactical. The ark is calculating engagement protocols. The chamber's throne pulsed again, and the whisper returned, no longer chaotic but structured, layered like commands. The crew felt it press against their minds, dissecting thought patterns with surgical precision. Vera steadied her rifle, her voice cutting through the oppressive mental tide. Humanity has fought empires that thought themselves gods. This arc will learn the same lesson. The whisper shifted, mocking a chorus of alien arrogance. Images flooded their minds, armadas of the Dominion, fleets of the Seraphic Combine, empires that had once ruled the stars. Each vision ended the same, annihilation, their banners consumed by the void. Kale's lips curled into a grim smile. It's showing us victories, it's victories. It wants us to believe resistance is futile. Then we answer with defiance, Vera said, her tone iron. Transmit to Fleet Command. Full report, Arc consciousness hostile, potential threat level beyond Dominion. Aras hesitated. Captain, if we broadcast it, we'll know it's inside our systems already. Let it know, Vera replied coldly. Humanity doesn't whisper, we declare war. The Arc responded instantly. The throne flared and the chamber's gravity inverted. The squad slammed against the ceiling, armor groaning under the strain. Counter thrusters, Kale barked, activating his suit's stabilizers. Jets fired, forcing him back into position. Dalen spun uncontrolled, cursing, until Aras grappled him with a magnetic tether. The whisper became a voice, not sound but thought, sharp and commanding. You are insects. You are noise, you are temporary. Vera's reply was a snarl. Temporary or not, we burn brighter than your silence. The Ark recoiled, its symbols flickering erratically. For the first time, hesitation rippled through its vast presence. Kale seized the moment. Captain, it's not invincible, it's probing, adapting. That means it can be outmaneuvered. Then we strike first, Vera ordered. Aras, locate a core. Dalen, stabilize comms. Kale, prep counterintrusion. We bleed this arc until it remembers fear. Aras scanned rapidly, his visor painting schematics across the alien chamber. There, beneath the throne, energy convergence point. If it has a heart, that's it. The arc reacted violently. The walls convulsed, birthing spires of obsidian metal that lunged like spears. Contact, Kale shouted, firing his rifle. The rounds sparked against the spires, barely slowing them. Dalen unleashed a plasma burst, vaporizing one spear mid-strike. Their constructs, defensive drones, hold formation, Vera commanded, her rifle barking precise bursts. Each shot shattered a spire, but more erupted from the walls, relentless. The whisper roared again, fury laced with contempt. You cannot kill what is eternal. Kale's voice was calm, surgical. Eternal doesn't mean untouchable. Captain, I can breach its tactical lattice. Give me 30 seconds. You've got 20, Vera snapped, cutting down another drone. Aras dove toward the throne, his scanner blazing. Energy core confirmed, shielded but fluctuating. It's vulnerable during surges. Dalen gritted his teeth, stabilizing comms through the psychic interference. Fleet Command receiving partial transmission. Arc hostile, threat classification, Omega. The Arc's fury intensified. The chamber shook, symbols burning white-hot. The drones multiplied, their strikes faster, sharper. Kale's fingers danced across his wrist console, his voice steady despite the chaos. Almost there, rerouting its predictive algorithms, forcing feedback loop. The throne screamed, not in sound but in thought. The whisper fractured, splintering into static. Aras seized the moment, firing a concentrated plasma lance into the core. The shield flared, then cracked. Energy bled out in violent arcs. The arc convulsed, its drones collapsing mid-strike. The chamber's gravity normalized, slamming the squad back onto the floor. Silence returned, but it was no longer oppressive. It was wounded. Kale exhaled, sweat streaking his brow. We heard it, not destroyed, but hurt. Vera lowered her rifle, eyes locked on the throne. Then humanity has drawn blood. And now it knows we are not prey. The whisper returned, faint but venomous. You will burn with your empires. You will drown in the void. Vera's reply was cold steel. We've faced arrogant empires before. They all fall, and so will you. The arc trembled, its symbols dimming. The crew stood ready, weapons raised, as the silence stretched into eternity. For the first time, the arc hesitated. And in that hesitation, humanity carved its defiance into the bones of an ancient war machine. The void listened. And it whispered back, we need to write Chapter 3 of 12 for Episode 17. The provided context is the end of previous chapter. Actually, the user gave a summary of the story context. N. Arc hostile, threat classification, Omega. Then a description of the Arc's fury, Kale rerouting algorithms, Aras firing plasma lance, the throne screaming, etc. That seems like the end of Chapter 2 or beginning of Chapter 3. The user says write Chapter 3 of 12 for Episode 17 and gives previous story context, so we need to continue from that point. The last line, the void listened, and it whispered back. So Chapter 3 should start after that moment. The Ark is wounded but not destroyed. The whisper returns faintly. The squad is ready. We need to write 801,000 words, follow strict rules. Macro to micro scale, no cliches, crisp dialogue, high stakes, output only story text. We'll write a chapter that advances the plot, the Ark's hesitation, the team's next move. Perhaps they need to find a way to destroy it or escape. The title, The Whispering Void, suggests cosmic horror. Keep tension high. The whisper returned, but it no longer filled the chamber. It dripped thin and broken like water through a cracked hull. Kale didn't lower his hands. He kept his console live, fingers hovering over the final subroutine. Status, Vera said, her voice flat. Feedback loop is holding. The throne's emitter is destabilized. It's trying to reassert control, but the predictive matrix is scrambled. It can't see our next move. Then we make the next move count, Aras said. Cycled the plasma lance's capacitor, the weapon humming with a fresh charge. We cracked that core. No, Vera said, we don't know what happens when the core breaks. That throne is a nervous system. You sever it, the entire arc might detonate or collapse or both. So we sit here, Aras' jaw tightened. That thing's already calling for reinforcements. I can feel it. The whisper is weaker, but it's still reaching out. Kale nodded. He's right. The feedback loop is temporary. The arc is adapting. I'm seeing subroutines I didn't catch before. It's running a parallel heuristic, trying to rebuild the linkage through the bulkheads. We have maybe 7 minutes before it finds a workaround. Then we need a surgical option, Vera said. She turned to the throne. The symbols on its surface had dimmed to a dull amber, pulsing in irregular waves. The thing was wounded, but wounded predators were the most dangerous. She stepped forward, boots crunching on debris. The whisper spiked, a sharp needle of pressure behind her eyes. She ignored it. You said it's an intelligence, she said, not looking at Kale. An old one. Trapped in this vessel, it has wants, needs. Fear, Kale said. Fear of the void, that's what came through the whisper. It's terrified of being alone. Then we give it a choice. Vera stopped 5 meters from the throne. The air around it shimmered, heat distortion from the plasma lance's impact. She raised her voice, knowing the arc could hear. Listen to me, you're not the first ancient horror we've faced. You won't be the last. We can leave you here, crippled, to drift until your power cells decay, or we can finish you permanently. The whisper coalesced into a single word, cold and precise: threat. Yes, Vera said. We are, and we're offering you a way out. You want to escape the void. We can take you to a place where you'll have company, other intelligences, other empires. But you have to stop fighting us, stand down, let us navigate this arc to human space. Silence, the throne's amber glow flickered. Kale held his breath. Aras kept the lance aimed at the core. Then the whisper returned, layered with something that might have been amusement. You bargain with a god. No, Vera said, we bargain with a prisoner. You're stuck in this hulk, screaming into the dark. We're the first thing that's answered in millennia. You want to keep screaming, or do you want to speak? The chamber groaned, not from strain, from thought. The arc was considering. Kale's wrist console chirped. He glanced down, eyes widening. It's dropping the shield around the core. Voluntarily, Aras didn't lower the lance. Trap, maybe, Vera said, but we don't have a better move. Kale, prep a data link. I want to see what's inside that core. If it's genuine, we'll know in seconds. Kale's fingers flew across the interface. A thin cable snaked from his console, tipped with a microprobe. He crawled to the throne, inserted the probe into a seam where the black metal had split from the plasma strike. The data stream hit his optic implant. He recoiled but held the connection. It's showing me its history, the war, the fall, the silence. It's not lying, it wants out. Then we give it a leash, Vera said. Patch in a kill switch. If it tries anything, we burn the core from orbit. The whisper surged, then receded. The throne symbols steadied into a single pattern, acceptance. Vera stood straight. Good. Aras, hold position. Kale, work fast. We've got 5 minutes before the arc's other systems finish recalibrating, and then we're going to fly this coffin home. The whisper whispered one last time, softer now. We shall see what burns. Vera smiled, cold and thin. We already know. The data link pulsed. Kale's optic implant flooded with images, not static records, but living memory. He saw the arc's builders, tall, skeletal beings draped in organic metal, their faces lipless, eyes like molten amber. They moved through crystalline cities that hummed with a music that felt like pressure on the skull. The war came as a rupture, not ships, not weapons, a tear in reality itself, spilling something that wasn't light or dark, but the absence of both. The builders called it the stillness. It consumed everything it touched, not by destroying, but by erasing. Ships vanished mid-flight, planets went silent. The builders' weapons, designed to unmake matter, simply passed through the stillness like it wasn't there, because it was. It was the space between things, the void that waits. The arc was their last gambit. A seed vault of consciousness, designed to outrun the stillness by hiding inside a dead star. They didn't make it. The stillness found them, boarded the ark, and began the slow process of hollowing them out from the inside. The whispers weren't the ark. They were the echoes of the builders being unmade, screaming into the dark for anyone to hear. Vera listened to Kale's clipped summary. So the whisper is a recording, a dying scream. Yes, but layered. The ark's core intelligence repurposed it as a lure. It knew any species that heard it would investigate. It needed a pilot. A mind to interface with its systems. It's been waiting for someone dumb enough to plug in, Aras said flatly. Or desperate enough, Vera replied. We're both. Kale's hands moved faster. The kill switch was a brute force solution, a shaped charge embedded in the data port wired to the ship's reactor. If the Corps tried to override their control, the charge would vaporize the entire command deck. Crude but reliable. Done, he said. We're linked. The Corps accepts our authority. We can steer. The chamber groaned again, but this time it was mechanical, massive systems coming online. The floor trembled. The black metal walls rippled as ancient power conduits reawakened. Vera tapped her comm. All teams, brace for translation. We're moving this thing into real space. The whisper returned but muted, a background hum like a distant engine. The throne symbols shifted to a navigational display, a map of the local system with their position marked at the edge of a debris field. The Ark had been drifting for so long its orbit had decayed into a slow spiral toward the system's sun. Plot a course for the jump gate, Vera ordered. We're going home. The Corps hesitated. A flicker of resistance, then the map adjusted, a trajectory line appearing straight through the debris field, skimming the gravity well of a gas giant. It's avoiding something, Kale said. Look, he highlighted a region of the map. There, a sensor shadow, something's blocking passive scans. Aras zoomed in. The shadow was faint, almost invisible against the background radiation, but it was there, a patch of nothing that didn't match the surrounding space. Stillness, he said, Vera's jaw tightened. It followed the Ark. It's been waiting. For us to wake it up, Kale finished. The whisper surged, sharp and insistent. Run. Agreed, Vera said. Engage the drive, maximum thrust. Get us to the gate before that thing notices we're moving. The Ark lurched, alarms blared, the deck tilted as ancient maneuvering thrusters fought against inertia. Outside the viewports, the debris field began to slide past, slowly at first, then faster. The sensor shadow didn't move, it just sat there, patient, watching. Vera gripped the throne's armrest. Come on, come on. The jump gate appeared on the display. 7 minutes at current acceleration. The shadow remained still. 5 minutes. The gate's arms began to glow as the Ark's automated systems sent the activation code. 3 minutes. The whisper faded entirely, replaced by a silence that felt heavier than any sound. 1 minute. The gate yawned open, a ring of blue-white light. The shadow moved, not fast, not dramatically. It simply expanded, a slow bloom of nothing that swallowed the stars behind it. The Ark sensors screamed as the stillness reached for them. Punch it, Vera said. The Ark translated. The stars stretched, twisted, and snapped into lines of light. The gate's energy field enveloped them, and the void outside the viewports became a tunnel of compressed space. The shadow didn't follow. Vera exhaled. Report casualties? None, Kale said, but the Corps' power draw spiked during translation. It burned through 30% of our reserves. We'll refuel at the gate station. Aras, keep the lance on the Corps. Kale, monitor the whisper. If it so much as hums out of tune, I want to know. The whisper returned, softer than ever. You have not escaped. You have only delayed. Vera smiled, cold and thin. We already know. We need to write Chapter 5 of Episode 17. The user provided context. Previous chapter ended with the Ark translating through the gate. The shadow didn't follow, but the whisper said they've only delayed. Now we continue from there. Must follow strict rules. Macro to micro scale, no clicky acutes, pacing tension, 800-100 words, output only story. Need to advance plot. They are in the gate network, heading to a station. The whisper persists. Introduce new threats or developments. Maintain military sci-fi tone, realistic dialogue. Focus on human resourcefulness versus alien arrogance. Keep it gripping. The gate tunnel collapsed behind them, spitting the Ark into a system choked with debris. Rings of shattered metal and pulverized rock orbited a dead star, its light a dull red ember. The gate station, a skeletal structure of docking arms and power relays, hung dark and lifeless, its decenniums of silence broken only by the groan of the Ark's strained hull. Vera studied the tactical display. Status on the station's fuel reserves. No response from the station systems, Kale said. Reactors are cold, tanks red empty. Scavenged. Or vented, Aras leaned over his console. The whisper is still active. It's not a projection, it's embedded in the Corps' harmonic resonance. Every translation cycle amplifies the pattern. So we're carrying it with us, Vera said, like a parasite, more like a symbiote. It's not feeding on the Corps, it's using it as a carrier wave. If we shut down the Corps, the whisper dies, but so do we. Kale raised a hand. Incoming signal, tight beam low power from the debris field. Put it through. The channel crackled, then resolved into a voice, strained, human, laced with static. Ark vessel, identify. This is Lieutenant Chen, survivor of the Hammer of Orion. We're on the station's emergency hab module. Food and water for 12 more hours. We've got wounded. Request immediate assistance. Vera's jaw tightened. Confirm your identity. I'm a naval officer. My ship was destroyed by something that came through the gate. A black cloud that swallowed the Orion whole. We barely made it to the station before it went dark. We've been hiding for 3 days. Please. Kale, sweep the station. Look for life signs. Kale worked his console. I'm reading 17 life signs in the hab module. Human. No anomalous energy readings. And the debris field, the Orion's wreckage is consistent with kinetic fragmentation. No biological residue. No sign of the attacker. Vera turned to the tactical display. The station hung in the center of a graveyard, ships, habitats, orbital platforms, all reduced to confetti. The whisper pulsed in the background of her mind, a low hum that felt like a second heartbeat. Make for the station, she said. Aras, keep the lance charged. Kale, prepare a boarding party. I want eyes on Chen before we let anyone aboard. You're trusting them? Kale asked. I'm trusting their desperation. Desperate people make mistakes. We need to know what they saw. The Ark maneuvered through the debris field, thrusters firing in short bursts to avoid the larger fragments. The HAB module was a pressurized cylinder, its exterior scarred by micrometeor impacts and scorch marks. The station's docking collar was damaged, but a manual airlock still functioned. Vera led the boarding party, 4 soldiers in sealed armor, weapons drawn, lights cycling through the spectrum. The airlock cycled and they stepped into the HAB module. The interior was dark, lit only by emergency strips. The smell of recycled air and unwashed bodies hit them through the suit filters. Lieutenant Chen met them at the inner hatch. He was gaunt, eyes hollow, uniform torn. Thank God, we thought you were another ghost ship. What happened to the Orion? Vera asked. We were on patrol near the gate. The station went dark suddenly. We investigated, found nothing. Then the cloud came through, not from the gate, but from inside the station. It was like a shadow, but it'd wait. It passed through our hull like it wasn't there. Crewmen started screaming. Their eyes went black. They turned on each other. I pulled the survivors into the HAB module and sealed the doors. The cloud, it didn't try to get in. It just waited, then it left. Left where? Back through the gate. But not before it took the station's fuel. It drained the tanks in seconds. I don't know how. Vera exchanged a glance with Kale. The whisper, it's not just a signal. It's a scout. A scout for what? Chen asked. For the stillness, the same thing that's been following us. Vera turned to her soldiers. Secure the HAB module. Prepare to transfer survivors to the Ark. We're leaving this system. Where to? Kale asked. The whisper wants to be heard. We'll find a place where it can't reach. A dead zone, a black hole. We'll push the core to its limits and burn the whisper out. That'll kill the Ark. Then we'll walk home. Vera's voice was flat, final. We're done running. Time to fight back. Chapter 6. The Dead Zone Solution. Vera didn't wait for arguments. She opened a channel to the Ark's command center. All hands, this is Commander Vera. We've confirmed the Whisper is a predatory entity. It drains energy, turns crews against each other. We're executing a hard burn to System JX-442, a dark nebula with a confirmed micro-black hole at its core. No signals escape that gravity well. We're going to use it to starve the Whisper. She cut the channel. Kale stepped close, voice low. The Ark's core can't sustain a burn that deep without a full refit. We'll lose life support in hours if we push it. We'll cannibalize the station's fuel. Get engineering on it now. Chen's eyes widened. The station's tanks are dry. It took everything. There's emergency reserves in the docking clamps. Emergency manual override. I'll show you. Vera moved past him, boots clanging on the grated floor. Kale grabbed her arm. You hear that? The whispering stopped. Silence. The absence of the sound was louder than the sound itself. It knows we're changing course, Vera said. It's adjusting. 2 hours later, they jury-rigged a fuel transfer. The Ark's engines flared a sickly orange instead of clean blue. The deck vibrated with a shuddering groan, metal fatiguing. Jackson reported from the sensor station. The Whisper mass is forming a pattern behind us. It's not chasing, it's positioning, like it's hurting us. Toward what? Scanning. Pause. There's a larger signal, massive, coming through the gate now. It's not organic, it's structural. A ship, but it's dead. No emissions, no life signs. A cold realization crept through Vera's spine. It's bringing its own arc. Kale slammed his fist on the console. We can't outrun what's already inside our hull. I know. Vera turned to face the crew. We're going to crack the core, rig it to overload. When we hit the black hole's event horizon, we eject the core. The Whisper follows the energy. It'll be pulled into the singularity with it. You'll kill us all, Chen whispered. Not if we launch the escape pods before the ejection. We time it right, we coast into the nebula's edge. The Whisper can't track us through the radiation haze. Jackson's fingers flew across his console. The surface team from the station is still in the HAB module. They're unsealed. They'll die in the cold. Then work faster. Vera grabbed a cutting torch. I want every pod checked, every seal double verified. We have 40 minutes before the core hits critical. The crew moved with desperate precision. The Whisper's silence was a weight on their shoulders, pressing down, waiting for the moment of weakness. 23 minutes later, the Ark shuddered violently. Red alarms flooded the bridge. Core instability spiking, Jackson shouted. The Whisper's inside the reactor. Siphoning the plasma, Vera didn't hesitate. Abort burn, eject core now. The Ark's belly opened. The reactor tore free with a scream of rending metal tumbling into the black. Gravity from the micro-black hole caught it, stretched it into a glowing filament, then swallowed it whole. A shockwave rippled through the nebula. The Whisper's voice returned, a piercing shriek that faded into static, then silence, true silence. Vera gripped her console. Damage report. Life support at 9%. Engines offline, no Whisper signature detected. We're dead in the water. She let out a breath. Good, means it thinks we're dead too. Kale stared at the dark nebula swirling outside. What now? We wait, we listen, and when it's gone, we rebuild. She looked at her crew, exhausted, beaten alive. Report to the escape pods, we're going dark for real. The Whisper had learned that humans were not afraid to burn their own ships. That was a lesson it would not soon forget. Chapter 7, The Silence Between Empires. The Ark's hull groaned like a wounded leviathan, its skeletal frame drifting in the nebula's haze. Escape pods clung to the wreck like barnacles, their thrusters cold, their occupants listening to the void. Vera's voice cut through the comms, steady, unyielding. Status check, Pod 1, alive, Jackson replied, his tone clipped. Oxygen scrubbers holding. Hull integrity green, Pod 2, Kale's voice came next, low but calm. Systems nominal, crew stable, she nodded to herself. Comm reports meant discipline, discipline meant survival. Beyond the Ark, the nebula churned with faint pulses of light, alien signals, arrogant and sharp. The Empires were watching. They had seen the humans eject their own reactor, sacrificing power to deny the Whisper its feast. To the Empires, it was madness. To the humans, it was doctrine, survival through calculated brutality. The comms crackled. A transmission forced its way through, layered and static. The voice was not human. Terran vessels, you desecrate the relic, you burn what you cannot master. Mind is reckless. Vera leaned forward, her jaw tight. Identify yourself. The reply came with venom. We are the Kareth Dominion. This Ark was ours before your species learned fire. You trespass in sacred ruins. Jackson muttered under his breath, sacred ruins don't scream when you cut them open. Vera silenced him with a glance. Dominion, the Ark is compromised. The entity inside is hostile. We neutralized it. The alien voice hissed. Neutralized? You cast its core into the abyss. Do you understand what you've unleashed? Kale spoke, calm as ever. We understand enough. It wanted our ship. Now it has nothing. Silence followed, heavy and deliberate. Then another transmission broke through, deeper, resonant. We are the Vaith Ascendancy. Dominion lies. The Ark was not theirs. It was ours. You have interfered in matters beyond your comprehension. Jackson smirked. Here we go. Aliens arguing over who owns the haunted wreck. The two empires clashed across the comms, their voices overlapping, accusations hurled like plasma bolts. Dominion claimed heritage, Ascendancy claimed sovereignty. Both demanded human withdrawal. Neither acknowledged the Whisper's hunger. Vera listened, her mind racing. Two empires, arrogant and blind, circling each other like predators. The humans were the bait. She cut into the chaos. Dominion, Ascendancy. Listen carefully. The entity inside the Ark is not dead. It is waiting. It feeds on conflict. If you fight here, it will awaken again. The Dominion scoffed. Human fear, you exaggerate. The Ascendancy sneered. You seek to frighten us into retreat, transparent. Kale's voice was a blade of ice. We burned our own reactor to stop it. Do you think we hesitate to burn you? The comms went silent. The empires had not expected defiance. They had expected pleading weakness. Instead, they found humans willing to torch everything, including themselves. Jackson leaned back, exhaling. That shut them up. Vera shook her head. Not for long. They'll regroup. They'll test us. Outside, the nebula shifted. Shadows moved within the gas, shapes too vast to comprehend. The Whisper was listening. Kale's eyes narrowed. It wants them to fight. It wants the empires to bleed each other dry. Vera's voice hardened. Then we deny it. We hold silence. We wait. The crew obeyed. Pods powered down, lights dimmed, transmissions ceased. The humans vanished into the void, ghosts among wreckage. Hours passed. The Dominion fleet arrived first, sleek warships bristling with weapons, their arrogance painted in steel. The Ascendancy followed, ships vast and ornate, their hulls etched with symbols of conquest. They faced each other across the Ark's corpse. Dominion hailed Ascendancy. Withdraw, this relic is ours. Ascendancy replied coldly. You lie, it belongs to us. Humans are irrelevant. Weapons charged, shields flared, the nebula trembled. Inside her pod, Vera whispered to her crew. Hold, let them show their arrogance, let them feed the void. The first salvo erupted, plasma lances tearing through the nebula, shredding hulls, igniting wreckage. The Ark shuddered as fragments of alien warships collided with its frame. Jackson's knuckles whitened. They're tearing each other apart. Kale's voice was calm, almost reverent, and the Whisper is smiling. The nebula screamed. Not sound but vibration, waves of distortion rippling through the pods. The Whisper's presence surged, drawn to the feast of destruction. Dominion ships faltered, Ascendancy vessels reeled. Both empires realized too late that their war had become fuel. Vera's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding. Crew, listen. When the Whisper rises, it will seek the strongest signal. That means the fleets, not us. We stay dark, we survive. The crew nodded, silent, disciplined. Outside, the fleets convulsed. Dominion warships vanished into folds of shadow, their screams swallowed. Ascendancy cruisers fractured, their ornate hulls collapsing into spirals of light. The Whisper fed. Vera closed her eyes, steadying her breath. Lesson 1, humans burn their own ships. Lesson 2, humans wait while empires die. Kale's gaze lingered on the nebula where alien pride dissolved into silence. In Lesson 3, she opened her eyes, cold and resolute. When the void whispers again, we answer with fire. The Ark drifted, silent once more. The humans remained unseen, waiting, listening. The empires had learned nothing. The Whisper had learned everything. And humanity had proven again that survival was not about strength, it was about the willingness to sacrifice, to endure, to outlast. The void whispered. The humans did not answer. Yet, the Ark's sensors painted a graveyard. Where Dominion and Ascendancy fleets had clashed, only twisted metal and frozen energy signatures remained. The Whisper had gorged, then retreated into the nebula's depths, satiated but watchful. Vera studied the tactical display, her fingers tracing the void's edge. Status report. Hull integrity at 92%, Kale replied. Power reserves stable. The Whisper's feeding created a localized vacuum we can slip through before the nebula collapses. And the survivors, Kale shook his head. None. The Whisper didn't just kill, it consumed. Every ship, every crew, every data core. It learned their languages, their tactics, their fears. The crew exchanged glances. They'd seen empires fall before, but never like this. Never with such precision, such hunger. It's not random, Vera said, her voice low. The Whisper targets organized resistance first, command structures, communication networks. It dismantles hierarchy before it feeds. That implies strategy, Kale said, intent or instinct, a predator that learned to hunt in packs. The proximity alarm cut through the silence. A single Dominion scout ship emerged from the nebula's edge, its hull scarred, its weapons hot. They're hailing us, the comms officer reported. Vera didn't hesitate. On screen, the Dominion commander's face was gaunt, eyes hollow, human vessel. You witnessed the massacre, you survived. We hid, Vera said flatly. Your cowardice saved you. The commander's voice cracked. The ascendancy is broken, our fleet is gone. The Whisper, it spoke to us, promised power, then it took everything. What did it ask for? Surrender, submission, it wanted our will. The commander laughed, bitter and broken. We gave it our ships instead, it ate them. Vera leaned forward. Then you know what it is, a wound, a hunger. Something that was trapped in that ark before we found it. The commander's eyes widened. It's not alien, it's not even alive, it's a question that learned to feed. The crew tensed. Kale's hand moved toward the weapon controls. You're dying, Vera said. Your ship can't sustain FTL. We're already dead, but you, the commander's face twisted. You're hunters, I see it in your eyes. You don't fear the Whisper, you're studying it. Knowledge is survival. Then know this, the Whisper remembers. It tasted your ship, your crew, your silence. It won't forget. The commander's voice dropped to a whisper. And when it's hungry again, it will come for the ones who didn't fight. The transmission cut. The Dominion scout ship's engines flared, then died. It drifted, silent, into the nebula. Vera turned to Kale. Plot a course. We're leaving, and the Whisper, she smiled, cold and sharp. We'll find it again on our terms with our weapons. The Ark's engines hummed to life. The nebula receded, its colors fading into the void, but the Whisper followed, not in space, in their minds. A faint, persistent hum like a question waiting for an answer. Vera closed her eyes. Lesson 4, when the void asks, you don't reply. Kale nodded. You make it ask again and again until it learns to beg. The Ark slipped into FTL, leaving the graveyard behind. The Whisper's hum faded but didn't vanish. It lingered, patient, hungry. Humanity had outlasted empires. Now it would outlast the void itself, one silence at a time. The FTL transition hit like a hammer. Vera's teeth clenched against the familiar pressure, a full-body compression that squeezed the air from her lungs. The Ark groaned around them, ancient alloys protesting the strain. On the main display, the nebula's ghostly tendrils snapped into streaks of violet light, then vanished entirely as they breached the threshold. Silence, clean, absolute vacuum silence. Kale unclenched his jaw. Transition stable, course locked for the Cygnus reach. 23 hours standard. Vera didn't answer. She was watching the sensor suite, a dense cluster of Dominion-era crystals and human-fabricated circuitry. The Whisper's signature, if it could be called a signature, had dropped below detection thresholds the moment they entered FTL, but she knew better than to trust absence. Status on the crew, she said. Medical reports are coming in. 13 personnel reporting auditory anomalies. No physiological damage, but psychological stress indicators are elevated. Kale paused. They hear it, a hum, a question. They're not alone. Vera turned from the console. I hear it too. She saw the flicker in Kale's eyes. Not fear, he was too seasoned for that, but acknowledgement. The Whisper had boarded with them. It didn't need airlocks or hull breaches. It traveled on attention, on the spaces between thoughts. We need a countermeasure, she said. Something that disrupts its ability to anchor. Anchors to what? To us, to our cognition. It's not a signal, it's a resonance. Vera pulled up a schematic of the Ark's internal systems. The Dominion archives mentioned something, a null field generator, originally designed to suppress psychic interference from rogue navigators during FTL jumps. Kale's brow furrowed. That's classified. Even by Dominion standards. I've been reading their black logs. The navigators weren't just pilots, they were receivers. The Dominion built them to interface with the void, to steer through it. But the void pushed back. Some navigators came out of jumps catatonic, others didn't come out at all. She highlighted a section of the Ark's engineering deck. The generator is here, intact, never activated. You want to turn on a Dominion's psychic dampener without knowing what it does to us. I want to see if it starves the Whisper. Kale's hand hovered over the command interface. If it kills the Whisper by killing our ability to perceive it, we're flying blind. The Whisper isn't just a threat, it's data. It's the first new signal we found in a dead sector. It's a predator that learned to mimic curiosity, Vera said. We don't study predators by letting them feed. She walked to the engineering station, keyed in the activation sequence. The Ark responded with a low-frequency thrum that vibrated through the deck plates. A secondary hum, artificial, layered over the Whisper's persistent undertone. The Whisper faltered. For a fraction of a second, the hum in Vera's mind stuttered like a recording skipping. Then it resumed, but weaker, distant. Kale exhaled. It's working, partial suppression. It's buying us time. Vera studied the readouts. The null field was drawing significant power, but the Ark's reactors could sustain it. We need to understand what it wants. Not what it is, what it wants. The Dominion commander said it was a question that learned to feed. Questions require answers. That's the trap. Every answer we give it is a meal. Vera's voice dropped. We don't answer. We don't engage. We observe. She pulled up a secondary display showing the Whisper's residual signature. It wasn't dissipating. It was reorganizing, adjusting to the null field's frequency. It's learning, Kale said. Good. Let it learn that we're not easy prey. The Ark hummed through the void, a ghost ship carrying ghosts of its own. The Whisper pressed against the null field, patient, persistent. Vera watched the display, her reflection faint in the dark glass. She thought of the Dominion commander's final words. When it's hungry again, it will come for the ones who didn't fight. She smiled, cold and sharp. Let it come. Chapter 10, The Whispering Void. A cosmic horror awakens within a dead alien Ark ASF. The Ark's hull shuddered as if something vast pressed against it from the outside. The null field held, but the strain was visible in the readings, oscillations spiking, harmonics bleeding into the reactor output. Kale's voice was clipped, professional. Field integrity at 78%. If it drops below 60, containment fails. Vera didn't look up. Her eyes tracked the shifting waveform on the tactical display. Then we hold it above 60, no excuses. The comm crackled. Lieutenant Rourke's tone was sharp, urgent. Command, we've got Dominion vessels shadowing us. 3 cruisers vectoring in. They're not firing yet. Kale muttered, arrogant bastards think we'll burn ourselves out before they lift a finger. Vera keyed the channel. Maintain formation. Weapons hot, but do not engage unless they breach minimum range. Let them watch. Let them think we're cornered. The Ark's corridors groaned, metal flexing under invisible pressure. The Whisper was probing, testing, adjusting. It wasn't brute force, it was patience, a predator circling prey. Kale leaned closer to the console. It's mapping us. Every frequency we throw at it, it's cataloging. This isn't suppression, it's reconnaissance. Then feed it false data. Vera's tone was ice. Cycle the null field through randomized harmonics. Make it chase ghosts. Kale's fingers flew across the interface. On it, the waveform fractured, split into dozens of decoys. The Whisper's pressure faltered, momentarily confused. The Ark's hum deepened, resonant, like a cathedral organ echoing through the void. Rourke's voice cut back in. Dominion cruisers are broadcasting. Open channel. Vera nodded. Patch it through. The Dominion commander's face appeared, scaled and imperious, eyes gleaming with contempt. Humans. Meddle with forces beyond comprehension. The Ark is not yours to wield, withdraw, or be consumed. Vera's reply was calm, surgical. We don't withdraw, we adapt. That's why you fear us. The commander sneered. Fear, no pity. When the question grows hungry again, it will devour you first. You are too curious, too reckless. Kale cut in, voice steady. Funny, that's what you said before your fleet burned at Epsilon Gate. Remind me who survived that. The Dominion commander's expression hardened. You mistake survival for victory. The void whispers to all, it will not be denied. The channel snapped closed. Silence hung for a moment, broken only by the Ark's low thrum. Vera exhaled. They're stalling, waiting for us to break. Kale's eyes narrowed, or waiting for the Whisper to finish its work. The deck plates vibrated, subtle but insistent. The Whisper's signature surged, reorganizing again. It wasn't just probing, it was infiltrating. Vera's gaze locked on the display. It's inside the Ark systems, not just pressing against the hull, it's threading through the circuits. Kale swore under his breath. It's learning our language. Rourke's voice came sharp. Command, we've got anomalous signals in the weapons grid, firing protocols rewriting themselves. Vera's jaw tightened. Lock it down, isolate the grid. Manual overrides only. Kale's hands blurred across the console. I can cut it off, but it's fast. Every time I sever a line, it reroutes. The Ark's lights flickered, dimmed, then flared. A voice not human, not alien, but something in between whispered through the comms. Answer me. The words were soft, almost pleading, but beneath them was hunger, vast and endless. Kale froze. It's speaking. Vera's voice was steel. Do not answer, that's the trap. The Whisper pressed harder. Answer me. What are you? The Dominion cruisers shifted formation outside, their sensors locked on the Ark. They weren't intervening, they were waiting, watching, hoping the humans would falter. Kale's knuckles whitened on the console. It's trying to bait us. Every response is food. Vera's eyes were cold fire, then starve it. The arc system screamed under the strain. Circuits overloaded, alarms blared. The whisper's voice grew louder, more insistent. Answer me, answer me. Rourke's voice cut through the chaos. Command, hull integrity dropping. If this keeps up, we'll tear apart before the cruisers fire a shot. Vera's mind raced. The null field was holding, but barely. The whisper was inside, rewriting, consuming. They couldn't fight it with brute force. They needed misdirection. She snapped to Kale. Feed it a paradox, something it can't resolve. Kale blinked. You want to jam its logic? Yes, if it's a question, give it an answer that breaks the question. Kale's fingers flew. He coded a recursive loop, a self-contradictory signal. The arc systems pulsed, broadcasting the paradox into the whisper's threads. The voice faltered. Answer me. The words fractured, distorted. The pressure eased just slightly. Kale's breath caught. It's choking on the paradox. Vera's smile was sharp, predatory. Good, let it choke. Outside, the Dominion cruisers shifted uneasily. Their sensors registered the arc's surge, the whisper's faltering signature. For the first time, hesitation flickered across their formation. Rourke's voice was grim. Command, they're recalibrating weapons. Looks like they're preparing to finish us off if the whisper fails. Vera's eyes narrowed. Then we show them we're not prey. Target their lead cruiser. Lock weapons. Kale hesitated. If we fire, we break the stalemate. They'll retaliate. Vera's voice was calm, lethal. If we don't, they'll wait for the whisper to finish us. Better to fight enemies we understand than one we don't. The arc's weapons grid hummed, manual overrides locking into place. Targeting reticles painted across the void. The whisper's voice sputtered, fading. Answer, then silence. Kale exhaled, tension bleeding from his shoulders. Suppressed. For now, Vera's gaze was fixed on the Dominion cruisers. Now we deal with the living. The arc's cannons charged, energy building. The void trembled with anticipation. Vera's voice was a razor's edge. Fire. The arc unleashed its fury. The void lit with war. Word count, ~965, Chapter 11. Dominion's shattered line. The arc's cannons spat incandescent fury, beams slicing through the void with surgical precision. The lead Dominion cruiser's shields flared, then collapsed in a cascade of ruptured energy. Hull plating peeled back like molten skin, atmosphere venting in violent streams. The ship staggered, its formation breaking as panic rippled through the Dominion line. Wrecked hit, Rourke reported, voice clipped, steady. Their command vessel is crippled. Kale's hands trembled over the console, but his voice was firm. Secondary cruisers are repositioning. They're trying to flank. Vera's gaze was cold, unyielding. Let them try. We hold centerline. Rourke, feed targeting data to the arc's spinal cannon. Kale, reroute power from the whisper suppression grid. It's dormant for now. Kale hesitated. If it reactivates, then we die anyway. Vera cut him off. Better to die fighting than waiting. The arc systems groaned as power surged into its ancient weaponry. The spinal cannon's charge built, a low vibration thrumming through the decks. Outside, Dominion ships scattered, their arrogance fractured by the sudden realization. Humans had seized the ark, and they were wielding it with terrifying calm. On the Dominion flagship, Admiral Carveck's voice thundered across comms. Reform the line, crush them before they stabilize. His words carried fury, but beneath it, fear. The Dominion had never faced prey that bit back with stolen godfire. Multiple lock-ons, Rourke warned, their coordinating missile salvos. Kale's fingers danced across controls, countermeasures online, deploying decoys. The void erupted with trails of Dominion missiles streaking toward the ark. Decoy drones flared, intercepting some, but several broke through. Explosions rippled across the ark's hull, shaking the crew violently. Damage to port arrays, Kale reported, voice tight, but were still operational. Vera's tone was razor-sharp. Return fire, target their weapons platforms, blind them. The ark's cannons roared again, beams lancing into Dominion cruisers. One ship's weapons array detonated, fragments scattering like shrapnel across the void. Another cruiser's engines flared, then died, leaving it adrift. Kale's breath came fast. We're cutting them apart. Rourke's voice was grim. Not fast enough. Reinforcements inbound, 3 more cruisers, heavier class. Silence hung for a heartbeat. Then Vera spoke, calm as ever. Then we escalate. She keyed into the ark's deep systems, unlocking protocols buried beneath alien glyphs. The spinal cannon's charge reached critical, its energy signature spiking across every sensor in the sector. Kale's eyes widened. That's not a weapon, it's a planetary lance. If we fire, it'll destabilize the ark itself. Vera's smile was thin, merciless. Then we aimed carefully. The spinal cannon discharged. A beam of pure annihilation tore through the void, slicing a Dominion cruiser in half. The ship's core erupted, fragments scattering like burning ash. The shockwave rippled across the Dominion formation, forcing them to break ranks. On the flagship, Admiral Carveck's voice faltered. Impossible, humans cannot wield such power. Vera's reply was ice. We can and we will. The Dominion line wavered, arrogance collapsing into hesitation. Their empire had always believed humans were resourceful but primitive, clever scavengers at best. Now they faced humans wielding alien godfire with terrifying precision, and the void whispered a new truth. Humanity was no longer prey. Kale's voice broke the silence. They're retreating. Flagship is pulling back. Rourke's jaw tightened. Not far enough. They'll regroup, call reinforcements. This isn't over. Vera's gaze was fixed on the retreating cruisers. No, it's only beginning. The arc systems pulsed, energy stabilizing after the spinal discharge. The whisper remained silent, suppressed but not destroyed. Its presence lingered, a shadow pressing against the edges of perception. Kale shivered. It's watching, waiting. Vera's voice was steady, lethal, calm. Then let it watch. We'll deal with the living first. The dead can wait. The crew braced as the arc shifted course, engines igniting with alien fire. Dominion ships scattered, unwilling to face another lance strike. The void trembled with the echoes of battle, and for the first time the Dominion faltered before humanity's defiance. Rourke's voice carried quiet conviction. We've shown them we're not prey, not anymore. Vera's eyes narrowed, her tone a blade. No, we're predators, and the void will remember. The arc surged forward, its weapons primed, its crew unyielding. Behind them the Dominion line lay shattered. Ahead, war awaited, and in the silence between stars the whisper stirred. Word count, #Chapter 12. The Reckoning. The bridge hummed with residual energy, panels flickering as the arc systems recalibrated. Rourke stood at the main console, fingers tracing the alien interface with practiced precision. The Dominion flagship had vanished beyond the system's outer rim, its escort cruisers following in ragged formation. Damage report, Rourke said, not looking up. Kale's voice came from the sensor station. Minimal. The arc's shields held at 93% efficiency. Power reserves at 62 and climbing. Casualties? None. Kale paused. They didn't get a single shot through. Vera moved to stand beside Rourke, her presence a cold weight. They'll be back within 72 hours. Standard Dominion reinforcement protocols. 3 battle groups minimum. Rourke nodded. Then we need to be gone before they arrive. Where? Kale asked. We're in uncharted space. The Ark's navigation systems don't match any known stellar cartography. Vera's hand rested on the console, fingers spreading across the alien symbols. The whisper showed me coordinates before you suppressed it. Rourke's head snapped up. You didn't mention that. Some truths must be revealed in their time. Vera's eyes held something ancient, something that had seen too much. There's a nexus point. 300 light-years coreward, the whisper called it the threshold. Kale's face paled. Threshold to what? To the ones who built this ark. Vera's voice dropped. And to the ones who destroyed them. The bridge fell silent. Rourke stared at the star map, watching the calculated trajectory appear on the display. A direct line through Dominion space past their primary shipyards into the heart of their territory. That's suicide, Kale whispered. No. Vera's smile was thin, predatory. That's war. Rourke's hand moved to the navigation controls. Set course for the threshold, maximum speed. Commander, Kale started. The Dominion will expect us to run. Rourke's eyes met Vera's. They'll expect us to hide, to lick our wounds. They won't expect us to strike at their heart. The Ark's engines thrummed, power building. On the display, the Dominion fleet's scattered remnants grew smaller as the Ark accelerated. Vera turned to face the main viewport, where stars stretched into impossible lines. The whisper is quiet now, but it's learning, adapting. Can you still control it? Rourke asked. I can suppress it, contain it. Vera's voice hardened, but it will never be destroyed, not by us, not by the Dominion. Then we use it, Rourke said, as a weapon, as a threat, whatever we need to survive. Kale's fingers flew across his console. Multiple Dominion signals, they're hailing us on all frequencies. Put them through. The main screen flickered, revealing a Dominion admiral. His face was scarred, eyes burning with fury. Human vessel, you have violated sovereign space. You have attacked our fleet. Surrender now and your deaths will be merciful. Rourke stepped forward, his voice carrying across the bridge. Admiral, I have one message for your Dominion Council. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Rourke's smile was cold. We're not prey anymore. We're the apex, and we're coming for everything you've built. He cut the transmission before the Admiral could respond. The Ark surged forward, its weapons charging, its whisper suppressed but present. Behind them, the Dominion scrambled to respond. Ahead, the threshold waited. And in the silence between stars, the void whispered a single word, soon.